Investment in property, why? Doing something a little different today than my normal sort of tour rounds. So why did I get into property? Initially, to actually fund it, I took money out of my own home, which is a way that property investors quite often do to actually get started. I'll take you through the concept. So, investment in property, why? If you were to take out just £50,000, that's £50,000 out of your home, and basically add that to the mortgage, you would be able to have £25,000 each as deposits for two houses that cost £100,000. Now, leaving aside some legals, etc., just for simplicity, we'll work through the numbers. And as you can see, over 20 years at a 4% growth, your house that you bought for £100,000 and you only put £25,000 down would be worth £200,000. So that's two lots of £200,000 or £400,000 in total. Now you put £50,000 in, that means the increase is £350,000. Now, allowing for rental, worst case scenario, £250 for each house after all costs, and this is really low, I'm just giving you an example. So that would come to £120,000 over 20 years in rental income, obviously not allowing for inflation, etc. So the total would be £470,000. Now I hear what you're saying, what about my mortgage, what about my house, I'm trying to pay it off earlier, etc. Not necessarily the best idea. Assuming your interest on your main home is 3%, then the total interest extra you'll pay over 20 years is £80,000. Subtract the £80,000 from 470, you've got £390,000. Still profit over just leaving it in your own house. Now, just as a change, what if the £250 on one of the houses you reinvest monthly into the stock market, for instance the S&P 500, and you could easily get 7% on average over 20 years. That would give you a return of £130,000. Bearing in mind the other £250 from the other house you put into your mortgage. So the extra you have to pay on your mortgage would be covered anyway by the rent on your first property. The difference would therefore be £70,000 extra, the 60 and the 70, would leave you with a total of £460,000 over 20 years. Now don't forget, that's over 20 years, but the reality is it could quite easily double in value your property within 10 to 12 years, not even 20. Now you can imagine how this stacks up, because once you have your two properties and they've risen in value, you can actually take money out of your rental property, and that's exactly what I've done. I've taken money out of my first rental property to then go again at this. Now, interest rates could rise, absolutely, and you've got to bear that in mind. But at the moment, it's looking like we're going to be in a low interest environment for quite a fair few years to come. So this strategy makes absolute sense. The difficulty, I guess, is getting through to most people that paying off your mortgage early and paying it off as fast as you can is not necessarily the smartest way to do things. But before you go down this path, get the knowledge. That's the number one thing. You've got to be switched on. You've got to get the knowledge. You've got to watch the YouTube videos. There's plenty of good stuff out there. Plenty of good content. Rob Dix does some brilliant stuff, some really good books. Simon Zuch's book, Property Magic. There's some great content and you can learn from that. You do not have to pay thousands of pounds for courses, mastermind courses, for mentoring, etc., etc. There's a lot of people in the property business who are looking to, rip people off, for want of a better words. So essentially, What you need to do is get the knowledge and then very much think about taking money out of your own house. Now, they do, obviously, the mortgage companies, especially for your own home, look at your income before allowing you to take out too much. So you need to make sure, or they need to make sure that you've got sufficient income coming in to be able to take, for you to be able to take money out of your house. But once you do, you can see the path can be from £50,000 out to £460,000 profit on 2 properties. And that's not counting for you building up more and more and more. Once you get started, you start having rents coming, that's when you get a snowball effect. So I've moved from position of my own home to 5 HMO properties with 5 students in each one. That's 25 students plus another single let but with 2 students in, so a total of 27 over just 3 years. And this is the kind of strategy I used. So have a think, see if it makes sense for you, and if you know me, then I'm quite happy to talk it through with you. Thanks very much. I'll see you the next time.